picture yourself walking into one of the world's busiest tattoo studios. There's 24 artists. They're all very busy. In the back, in the lobby, there's lots of people. And in front of you happens to be a binder of all the artwork they've done in the last few years. So what is the likelihood that you're going to find your signature or your logo in the binder? Well, for most of us, the chances are pretty slim. But we do know that people walk into these tattoo studios all over the world every day and ask for brand logos and symbols to be tattooed on their body. And as a matter of fact, if you come to Orlando as one of the 70 million visitors a year, you'll find that some of them go home with a Mickey Mouse ear tattoo. So how in the world do these brands create such a strong emotional connection that people would want to tattoo a logo on their body? So today, I would like to uncover 3 epiphanies that I believe can help us all understand this emotional connection, how it's created, and how you can create it. And it doesn't matter if you're a billion-dollar brand, a mid-sized company, or an individual person. These concepts, epiphanies, apply to all. Dakota McKenzie grew up on a farm in Iowa back in the 1950s. As he grew up, he heard stories of how his ancestors lost their land as the pioneers moved west. With the passion to find out more about what happened, he decided to get his doctorate degree in Native American Studies. And as part of the doctoral program, he ended up spending 3 months on a very primitive Native American reservation in Arizona. And when he showed up, they had a big ceremony for him. They had the drums playing. They gave him one of those beautiful red-feathered headdresses. They uncovered an orange and yellow teepee that they had made just for him. So while he was there, he rode horseback. He hunted with them. He learned to skin animals. He learned their recipes. He learned to cook as they cooked. He was involved in all their daily activities. At night, before he would go to sleep, by flashlight, he would pull out his journal and write down what he learned for the day, keeping special attention to those names, what was important to them, and if they had any dreams. Now, keep in mind this was really hard because he did not speak the same language, and he had to rely on other people to interpret. After 3 months, it was time to go, and on the morning that he's leaving, a few members of the tribe came out to say goodbye. One of them was a woman named Katori that had worked with him side by side every day. And you could tell from her body language that she really did not want him to go. And as he's getting ready to leave, she looked at him, and with a simple hand gesture, she said something that he did not understand. He really wanted to know. So he looked to his right to a woman that he knew could interpret. What did she say? The woman replied, she said, "I like me better when I'm around you. I like me better when I'm around you." And the first time I heard those words in that context, I thought, that could probably be the best compliment I've ever heard one human being give another, especially since he didn't even speak the same language. You know, as I share that story, I think a lot of us might think of the people in our lives who maybe have made us feel that way. And a few weeks ago, it was early in the morning, and I was working on this talk, and I was thinking about this very thing. It was before the sun came up, so it's dark outside, it's dark in the house. The only light that's on is in my office, just a little light on my desk. It was quiet. All of a sudden, I heard something. I heard some stair steps. Somebody was coming up the stairs. All of a sudden, I began to smile because I knew it was about to happen. So I looked at the door and waited. All of a sudden, there he was. My 5-year-old adopted little boy had gotten up early and walked through a dark house, walked straight up the stairs, walked into my office, walked around my desk, jumped in my lap, gave me a hug, and he said, "I love you, Daddy." That was deep for me. There's so many layers to that. But I got to say, I like me better when I'm around Braden, right? So as we think about this I like me better idea, this actually guides our decisions. So if you think about it, would you ever feel like you would pursue something where you would say, I feel worse? I feel better, I feel worse. So as we think about all the activities that we are involved in, the music you listen to, the concerts you go to, the decisions you make, where you're going to go, where you're going to affiliate, all of that, I like me better when, right? The biggest choices we have is when we have money in our pocket, right? We have choices where to spend that. And so when it comes time to actually buy something, and there's a choice between a few things, guess what? I can predict that you're going to buy something that actually makes me feel better about me. I like me better when I buy this, when I support this. So epiphany number one is, I like me better is the end game of branding. In other words, if you're going to build a brand, do something really special so that your customers would actually say, I like me better when I use your product. So let's just play with this a little bit. So, if I'm going to spend money on shoes, I like me better when I wear my Cole Haans. I like me better when my Apple Watch tells me that I've completed my exercise goal for the day. So my son heard that I was doing this talk, and he comes up with his iPhone, and he has a picture of some shoes. He said, Dad, I will like me a lot better when I wear these. I haven't even finished. Nike Air Jordans. I look at the price, $420. I look back at him, he says, well, Dad, those are the cheap ones. Emotional connection has a price. And so I started using this story in branding workshops that I was doing across the country, and I would allow people to share their own I like me better brands. And so here's just a few of them. I like me better when I drive my Tesla in ludicrous mode, right? I like me better when I wear my Lululemon leggings to the Pilates class at the gym, right? I like me better when Amazon Fresh delivers my groceries within just a few hours. But my favorite one of all time, I was in Houston, Texas. Guy in the back of the room raises his hand really high and says, I like me better when I use the restroom at Buc-ee's. 4 other people in the room also raise their hand really high and say, I like me better when I use the restroom at Buc-ee's. And I look at them and I'm like, what is Buc-ee's? They said, it's a gas station. I'm like, well, like a really big one on the side of the interstate. It's like, I had no idea. 7 years later, I'm driving down the interstate in Florida. I see a billboard that says, Buc-ee's, 25 miles. My heart began to race a little bit. I don't think I've been more excited to use the restroom in my life, right? It was 7 years after they said that, but it came right back. Like, man, I can't wait. But here I am to raise my hand, proudly with them, and to say to you, I like me better when I use the restroom at Buc-ee's. And maybe you might understand one day. I think we can all agree that there's something unique and special about the idea of an I like me better brand. And upon further contemplation, epiphany number 2 came. Insane loyalty. So let's just say if you ever build an I like me better brand, first of all, congratulations. But your customers do not want to buy a product or service from anyone else. Why? Because they will feel worse. They never want to feel worse. They will be extremely loyal to their own desire to like themselves better. And so imagine this as a business strategy so that you hook up your company's bank account with your customers' desire to like themselves better. They pay you money, they like themselves better. They pay you money, they like themselves better. I cannot imagine a better system. Everybody wins. Amazing. So, of course, how do you do that? How do you create an I Like Me Better brand? Well, first of all, we need to make one assumption, is that if we're going to do that, we need to be really good at what we do, right? We need to be doing something special. But with that assumption, I'm about to share a secret that I think will help you. I discovered an insight that leads to Epiphany 3, the secret. The insight is this, that we as human beings have three things that are very, very important to us: who we are, what we believe, and what we aspire to become. And anytime any one of those three things is threatened, we will feel negative emotions like fear, anger, anxiety, and we will naturally move away from that. And if we can't move away, we might even medicate. Conversely, if any one of those things are affirmed, we will naturally have this I like me better feeling, and we will move closer to that stimulus, whatever it is. So yes, Epiphany 3, it's called emotional glue. How do we create emotional glue? Well, I Like Me Better brands and people have a habit of making decisions and communicating in such a way that they affirm their followers for who they are, what they believe, and what they aspire to become. And when they do that, their followers have this I like me better feeling, and the glue begins to take shape. Here's a simple example. Let's just pretend that you aspire to be a triathlete. It's a lot of work, right? Well, let's just say a brand comes along and says, we believe you can do that. We've got some products to help you do that. We even sponsor people to do that. But most of all, just do it. Just do it. Imagine if you do it. How do you feel about you? Yes, Nike is a $44 billion I Like Me Better brand that sells the emotion of you overcoming yourself. And if you can overcome yourself, you can do almost anything. It's brilliant. But the biggest example, classic example, most powerful example I've ever seen of emotional glue happened in 1997. Apple's stock was tanking. Steve Jobs came back to the brand that he started in an attempt to revive it. He had to make decisions quickly, but he also collaborated on a speech that became a commercial that became one of the most compelling pieces of advertising of all time. The ad featured iconic world-changing people like Albert Einstein, Muhammad Ali, Martin Luther King, and others. But the speech, there's a lot of emotional glue in the speech. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the square pegs and round holes, the ones who see things differently. They are not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They move the human race forward. And while some people see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because it's the people who are crazy enough to believe they can change the world are the ones who do. Apple, think different. Steve Jobs did not try to sell products. He looked at his followers and he affirmed them for who they are, what they believe, and what they aspire to become. And he said, we make products for you. Let's go. From almost bankrupt to the most valuable company of all time. Apple uses more emotional glue than any brand I've ever seen, from the design of the product, the experience, even to the packaging, right? It's hard to throw away an Apple package. You're just not, it's a work of art, right? But all through the message and everything. So I just showed you an example, obviously, of a big brand who used advertising to help create their brand. But keep in mind, most brands, if you have a company, many of them don't do advertising. But the truth is, the actual experience is where the emotional glue is. And so you don't have to do advertising. I can guarantee you that Buc-ee's did not build their brand on advertising. And Starbucks did not rely on advertising. What we do is so much more important than what we say. So if I could give you a gift today, it would be the gift of a decision-making filter. So that if you're the leader of an organization, or if you have a job that has any responsibility for the customer experience or anything about the product itself, or maybe even in messaging, always ask this question. The decision that I'm making today, is there any emotional glue on it? And the more that we can answer the question yes, the stronger the brand is going to be. So in review, epiphany number 1, I like me better is the endgame of branding. That creates number 2, insane loyalty. That's created by number 3, emotional glue. I hope that one day that I can walk up to you and shake your hand and say, I like me better because I use your brand. Well done. In the meantime, I hope that we can all use as much emotional glue as possible in every decision that we make and every interaction with other human beings. Because here's what I know. The world is going to be a lot better place. And maybe, just maybe, someone might come up to you with a tear in their eye and say, I like me better when I'm around you.